This is Covering the Spread, part of the FanDuel Podcast Network.
We have got another really fun slate of games on tap across Week 16 in the NFL, a big NFC East matchup between Eagles and the Commanders. We got the Ravens and the Steelers, maybe some Carson Wentz action as well. A lot to break down across Week 16 in the NFL. Today, we're going to go game by game, breaking down my models, spread and total predictions for every single Week 16 NFL game, letting you know where I see value at FanDuel Sportsbook and my best bets of the week. Welcome on into Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast. My name is JimSannes. I am a managing editor for FanDuel Research. Here again to break down my thoughts on NFL Week 16, letting you know where I'm seeing value across the entirety of Week 16, which spans 4 games with 4 days with games this week, with the games on Saturday as well. We'll dive into all that here in just 1 second. But first, a reminder to make sure you're subscribed to Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcast, because tomorrow we're going to break down round 1 of the college football playoffs. Riley Thomas will join me breaking down his thoughts on all 4 games, futures he wants to grab, and much more. To get that again as it is posted, search for Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcasts, hit subscribe, and if you like what you hear, leave us a 5-star rating and review as well. Don't forget as well, these shows do now stream live on our brand new YouTube page. We'll be live with Riley 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, breaking down his best bets there. Also 4 p.m. Eastern on Thursday with Megan Payton, breaking down her thoughts on the Week 16 NFL slate, player props Friday with Austin Swaim, and of course the DFS show on the YouTube page, 10 a.m. Eastern on Thursday as well. Go to the YouTube page, subscribe there, enable notifications, and leave us a thumbs up. We appreciate those of you who've done so already. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, an affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. We're 18 plus and present in DC. First online, real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/Chat, Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelpline.ma.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Let's take a look here at the Thursday night football game to kick off Week 16, and it is a very fun one. That is between the Broncos and the Chargers in LA. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Chargers favored by 3. Total in this game is 42.5. When I look at this game, I'm kind of surprised we're getting a full 3 on the Broncos, because the Chargers' offense has looked pretty disjointed ever since J.K. Dobbins got banged up. It's made this team pretty one-dimensional, and when you're one-dimensional with Herbert, that's fine, but when it's Herbert with banged-up groups of pass catchers, that can be kind of concerning. So, to me, we're seeing this Chargers offense in a pretty weird state with no Dobbins. Defense has taken a step back, and as a result, I do show value in the Broncos money line, currently sitting a plus 132 at FanDuel Sportsbook. I know Bo Nix looked pretty rough in that game against the Colts, throwing a lot of picks and stuff like that. They probably did not deserve to win that game, but defense still played pretty well in that one as well, despite having no Riley Moss in that one. I think they can play good football again defensively, and at least well enough to keep this game close and give Nix a chance late in this contest. So plus 132 for the Broncos, that to me a pretty solid way to get exposure to this Thursday night game. And I think that I'm willing to take that myself with the Broncos money line in this game. The reason that I'm there is I got the Chargers fair by just 0.7 in this one. So it's a pretty much a toss-up for me. So I'm okay taking the Broncos. As far as the total goes, I'm a bit below 42.5. I've had it 40.8. So probably going to be a stay away from me. Would lean towards the under if forced to pick, but likely to stay away there. We'll just stand pat with the Broncos money line as they take on the Chargers. First game on Saturday, it's the Texans and the Chiefs. As you can tell based on the odds of FanDuel Sportsbook, likely no Patrick Mahomes in this game because right now FanDuel Sportsbook, Texans favored by 2.5. And despite the fact this game is on the road in Kansas City, and despite the fact the Texans are not playing good football, at least on the offensive side of things right now, total in this game is 39.5. If I take out Mahomes, I do make this the Texans by 0.8. So I am high on the Chiefs, and that is interesting to me. And part of the reason why I'm high in them is because it's Andy Reid, and it's still the infrastructure around Carson Wentz. Travis Kelce will play. If you look back at past times Mahomes has sat, when it was week 17 in 2020, I believe he sat at week 18 last year. They were sitting a lot of other key guys in those games. So you can't really draw a lot from those because Wentz has the full arsenal at his disposal for this week. Now that arsenal is not as good as it has been at other times, but it's not a week 18 situation where they're sitting Kelce, sitting DeAndre Hopkins and stuff like that. So I'm not betting this now, but if we were to get the Chiefs at +3 at like -110, then I'd be okay betting this. That's not fun, given that it is, again, Carson Wentz, not a guy I've ever really had a ton of faith in personally. I feel like I've always been a bit below market on him outside of a short blip at one point. I'm okay betting on them if we get a +3 here. And I don't think that'll happen because the +2.5 is currently at -115. But if we were to get that, I'd be okay diving in. So keeping close tabs in that market, and will be okay betting the Chiefs if that game does get to +3 at -110. Other game on Saturday is the Steelers and the Ravens. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Ravens favored by 6.5. Total in this game is 44.5. And I'm pretty far off market in this one because I got the Ravens favored by 9.5 and the total at 51.2. And that is because the Ravens offense is a juggernaut right now. Like, they are breaking records. They can put up a lot of points all by themselves, and they're facing a team as good as the Steelers. Expecting TJ Watt to play in this game. Also projecting George Pickens in, which is part of why the total is so high there, because I think we could see the Steelers offense move the football if Pickens does play. Now, I'm not as enthusiastic about this one, despite the fact my model does show a lot of value. I think the over is fine, over 44.5. That is currently sitting at -115, but it's just these teams, it's so hard to get the image of that first matchup between them out of my head, where I was high on the Ravens, like them there, and they kind of laid an egg. And I know the sample of Lamar Jackson against the Steelers is not large. He hasn't played against them a whole lot in his career, but they have frankly been pretty good against him. So if I were to bet this game, I bet the Ravens -6.5 and the total over 44.5. Frankly, I'd probably parlay those two together because I can kind of just assume that the model is correct. And if it is, there'd be a lot of value there. The two-leg same game parlay at FanDuel Sportsbook +244 to do the Ravens -6.5 and over 44.5. But I'm a bit wary of this one, wary than I am with most games in my model, just because we do see these two teams play a lot of slot fests. I understand why the market is where it is. I love the Ravens. I think the Steelers offense is a bit underrated right now too. So hesitant to buy in, despite the fact I do show value in both the Ravens -6.5 and the total at 44.5. Moving to the Sunday games, we got the Browns and the Bengals. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Bengals favored by 7. That's at -105. Total is 48.5. I think there is a decent chance that we see Dorian Thompson-Robinson start this game for the Browns. And if that does occur, I think the Bengals will shift to maybe 8.5. I don't think they get to 10. But Dorian Thompson-Robinson has struggled quite a bit in his stint, in his times. He's gotten chances with the Browns. And honestly, like, if you're the Browns, why not give DTR a chance? Because Jameis Winston is probably not your long-term answer. DTR probably isn't either, but you can get a look at him, and frankly, if it helps your draft positioning too, that's probably not the worst thing in the world. I think there's a pretty good shot, both based on the way they played that game against the Chiefs, but also Kevin Stefanski's words afterwards. We see Dorian Thompson-Robinson start over Winston in this game. So I think I want to lay the 7 with the Bengals right now at -105. If I kind of put it halfway between Jameis and DTR, I've got the Bengals favored by 10.3 and the total of 46.9. So no value in the over, but do like the Bengals -10.3 in this game. Could look towards the Bengals team total over as well, given that Not seeing a lot of value in the over, but do like the Bengals, maybe just the Browns team total under with the possibility for DTR to start. But I do think there's value in the Bengals at -7 and -105, based on the possibility we do see Dorian Thompson-Robinson start this game for the Browns, which would be a significant downgrade for them. It's like the Bengals -7 at -105. We got the Cardinals going on the road, take on the Panthers. Cardinals still need to win, stay alive here. They are -4.5 at FanDuel Sportsbook with this game on the road in Charlotte and the total at 46.5. I am directly in line with market here. Got the Cardinals by 4.7, total of 46.8. So no bets from me in this game. Probably going to be on James Conner, Marvin Harrison Jr., and some DFS stuff, Trey McBride as well. But happy to sit this out from a betting perspective for the Cardinals and the Panthers. Big one on tap on Sunday is the Eagles and the Commanders. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Eagles favored by 3.5, and the total in this game is at 45.5. When these two teams saw each other the first time this year, I was on the Commanders, and that did not go well. Now the Commanders have no Noah Brown, likely no Zach Ertz either due to a concussion he suffered in Week 15. So they're depleted. They are not playing as good defensively as the Eagles are. And we saw what the Eagles offense can do when they're fully engaged against the Steelers. I do still kind of want to take a chance on the Commanders, their money line at +142, because Jaden Daniels has excelled even without key pieces this year. And are we sure that it's a massive downgrade to not have Noah Brown and Zach Ertz, a couple of, at this point in their lives, journeyman skill players out there? I don't think that's really the case. Now, hoping their center is able to get back out there, I think that's a big part of why Daniels took 8 sacks against the Saints. I do feel like there is value in the Commanders here to potentially pull off the upset. They are at home. They got Marshawn Lattimore out there now. Defensively made his debut this past week. Jaden Daniels is a guy I want to bet on. I think they can move the football on the ground with Brian Robinson. So it's scary given the way this first game played out. But I do think there is value in betting the Commanders, their money line +146 in this game, or +142 in this game against the Eagles. I've got this game pretty close. I've got the Eagles favored by 0.3. So Eagles definitely the better team because this game is in Washington, but not anywhere near where the market has this one. I've got a total of 49.7. I'm less inclined to take that because I think there are a lot of scenarios where the Eagles kind of do what they did to the Steelers and they have a 15-minute drive to close out the game. So I think I can see a lot more paths to the under failing than I can with the Commanders money line. I'm getting more juice for the squeeze at +142 as well. So if I'm going to bet this game, it'll be the Commanders money line. That's one I actually do kind of like this week. I feel bad about liking it. Like that happens quite a bit where I'm like, I like this bet. Not sure if I should, but I do like the Commanders +142 as they get their rematch with the Eagles here. Next game up is the Giants and the Falcons. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook. The Falcons are by 9.5. Total in this game is 41.5. I show value in the over, but I will not touch that because I don't know what the Falcons are going to do offensively. If they decide to go with the same game plan as last night, where they just run it 45 times on early downs, they're not going to run this score up. So I'm not touching the over, despite the fact my model shows value. And I've actually got this spread a bit closer. Got the Falcons here by 8.2 in this game. Expecting Drew Lock to be able to go. He was the emergency quarterback on Sunday. If it were Tim Boyle, I would downgrade the Giants quite a bit. But assuming it's Lock, who is still not amazing, I just don't know. The Falcons pushed. I mean, depending on where you got the number at, they were 6.5 at some books last night at close against the Raiders. That game finished on 6. The Raiders could have potentially even tied that game up or won it at the end of that game. I don't see how you can lay 9.5 with this Falcons team as it currently stands, despite the fact we may get Tim Boyle, despite the fact there is no a lot of key injuries with the Giants as well. So I show value on the over, not going to take it. And I'm not going to bet the Giants spread, but they'd be the lean for me. +9.5, -102. I can't take a team right now with the way they're playing, but the Falcons just look pretty broken as things stand. Got the Titans taking on the Colts in Indy. This game is the Colts -4.5, total at 42.5. Pretty close to market here. Got the Colts -4. Total for me is 39.2. So a bit of a lean towards the under. Colts do operate at a pretty fast pace. So maybe some inclination towards the under. I don't mind it by any means. Again, under 42.5 is -108. Don't mind that, but not a massive value for me. Titans defense, not great. Colts defense, also not great. Will Levis or Mason Rudolph could do some weird stuff here. So probably a stay away despite showing some value on the under in this one. Next one up is the Lions and the Bears right now, FanDuel Sportsbook. Lions favored by 6.5, and the total in this game is 47.5. I've made pretty big downgrades for the Lions for their defense because they have no players remaining. So I've made big downgrades there, slight downgrade on offense with no David Montgomery for this one. Despite that, I still show value in the Lions minus 6.5. That is currently minus 112 at FanDuel Sportsbook because I got the Lions favored by 9.7. Kind of similar, frankly, to where the Vikings were at against the Bears last night. We saw what happened in that game. I just think that this offense is still really good. They're going to put up some points despite the fact the Bears are at home in this one. The weather in Chicago does not look bad. 5-mile-per-hour winds. So I do show value in the Lions minus 6.5. It's not my favorite bet of the week by any means, given that I have concerns about the Lions defense just kind of completely collapsing, given all the cluster injuries that they've had. So I do worry about that. Do show some value in the over as well. So if I want to bet against the Lions defense, I could go that way as well. But it also means I'm betting on the Bears offense. And I tried that last night and did not go well there either. So lean towards the Lions minus 6.5, lean towards the over 47.5 and minus 105. No firm bets for me in this one as the Lions take on the Bears, primarily just due to all the injuries that the Lions have. We got the Rams heading across the country to take on the Jets right now. FanDuel Sportsbook. Rams favored by 3. It's a heavy 3 at minus 120, so closer to 3.5. Total in this game is at 46.5. I got the Rams favored by 1.8. Pretty big upgrade in there for them with how they played with Puka Nacua being back. Total for me is a 45.2. That's a bit of value on the under, bit of value on the Jets, but not super inclined to take either. Was impressed with how the Jets played against the Jaguars. I know it's the Jaguars, but they showed fight, which was not a given, I don't think, by any means. So was pretty impressed with the Jets there. Don't want to bet them here, despite the fact I do show some value. So likely going to wind up being a stay away between the Jets and the Rams on my end. We got the Vikings and the Seahawks right now. FanDuel Sportsbook. Vikings favored by 3.5. It's effectively 3 because it's even money on the 3.5. And the total is at 43.5 for this one. I'm assuming that Geno Smith goes in this one. And with that assumption being made, got the Vikings favored by 4.2 with a total of 43.7. Slight downgrade for Geno if he does play because of mobility concerns with that knee injury. I'm just not as sold on the Seahawks as a lot of people seem to be. I do think the defense is playing really well, but as we saw against the Packers, that does not make them invincible, especially against an offense that is pretty good in the Vikings. So likely stay away, in line with market for this one, both in the spread and the total. So going to set this one out between the Vikings and the Seahawks. Next game up, this game flex of the afternoon. That is the Patriots and the Bills, where the Bills favored by 14.5. And the total in this game is 46.5. I think the 14.5 is fair. I got that at 13.3. So not going to bet the Patriots in this one, nor the Bills. I do think there's value in the over, though, at minus 110. This is partly a Drake May bet. I know the Patriots offense has not been amazing by any means, but May is kind of frisky. Nailed with football. If I just look at May, what he's done so far, I've got this total pretty far above this one, frankly. It's really high. And I don't mind that because I think the Bills will put up a ton of points by themselves. They're trying to run down the Chiefs to the 1 seed. The Chiefs could lose on Saturday to make that 1 seed bid more realistic. And if that happens, we're going to see them come out guns a-blazing. Now, what I like about the Bills is if they do grab a lead, they can still score points. They can put points up on you in a super positive game script, especially against the Patriots defense that has really struggled against the rush this year. So I like the over quite a bit, 46.5 in this one. Sitting at minus 110, because again, I think the Bills will put up points in all scenarios. Defense not playing amazing. Drake May kind of frisky. I think we'll get enough out of the Patriots to push this game over 46.5, get a win on a key number of 47. So happy to take over 46.5 between the Bills and the Patriots. Got an interesting game in Miami between the Niners and the Dolphins. Basically a toss-up at FanDuel Sportsbook. Dolphins money line minus 122, Niners plus 104. Total in this game, 45.5. And I view it the same way. Got the Dolphins fair by a half point and the total of 42.7. So more value in the under for me than in anything else because the Dolphins offense is very slow paced. This is projected to be the second slowest game of the week for me. So not going to see a lot of play volume here, especially when you consider that the Niners offense is banged up. So they're probably not going to push at 100% for this one. So if I were to bet this game, taking the under 45.5, minus 104, I've got better value elsewhere in totals this week, frankly. So not one I'm itching to bite, but do think that there is some value there under 45.5 at minus 104. Interesting game between the Jags and the Raiders, not like in terms of real football, but in terms of betting, because obviously the Raiders lost last night. And as a result of that, we saw this flip where the Raiders were favored by 1.5 yesterday. And this morning, it was around, I think, like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock Eastern. We saw the Jags become favorites. Their money line is minus 118. Raiders even money. Total in this game is 39.5. I want to bet the Raiders in this game. Their money line at even money. I think that makes a lot of sense because the Jags still stink. I know they put up 26 against the Jets, but a lot of that was on weird broken plays. It's also Mac Jones. Mac Jones, not amazing. I've got a significant downgrade in there for the Raiders. No Max Crosby. And despite that downgrade, I do still have the Raiders favored by 2.8 in this game. So I'm pretty far off market in this one, frankly. So even with the downgrade of Crosby, still show value in the Raiders here because it's Mac Jones. It's a Jaguars defense that is hideous. And also Aiden O'Connell was not ruled out until Monday morning to play. So there's a good chance that Aiden O'Connell is back in there for the Raiders. We've seen glimpses of competency out of this Raiders offense when it's been Aiden O'Connell with Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers. So I don't think the Raiders have fully rolled over. They were playing somewhat hard in that game. I know they were bad against a bad defense there, and again, a bad defense again here, but I'm okay taking the Raiders money line, even money, as they take on the Jags here, because I think that we maybe are underselling the odds that O'Connell plays, but also overselling the fact that the Jags, have played well against some bad teams in other spots. Sunday night game this week is the Buccaneers and the Cowboys right now. FanDuel Sportsbook. The Bucs favored by 3.5. It's a heavy 3.5 minus 118. The total in this game, 49.5. I want to bet the Bucs here. I've got the Bucs favored by 7.7. We've been on the Bucs consistently throughout this year. If you've listened to the show over the past couple of years or reading my writing, you know that I've had teams that have just been, in my eyes, consistently undervalued in the market. A couple years ago, it was the Jaguars and the Lions. That went pretty well. Last year, it frankly might have been the Bucs as well. But this year, it's the Bucs again, where I've shown value on them on, I think, 12 games and make it now 13 games here as they take on the Cowboys on Sunday night. Cooper Rush has put up some points for this Cowboys offense. So I understand why this spread is only a 3.5, but this Bucs offense has the potential to flamethrower teams, as they showed in that one. And now I know that the Cowboys defense did play pretty well there. Micah Parsons was a force against the Panthers. Facing this Bucs offense with the way the offensive line is playing is a different scenario than what they got there. It is a heavy 3.5 at minus 118. So maybe you want to do an alt market there at minus 4.5 or something along those lines. But I do have the Bucs favored by 7.7 in this game. Think they'll be able to move the ball pretty effectively with this game being indoors. We saw an aggressive Baker Mayfield on Sunday. So do like the Bucs minus 3.5, minus 118. Think that is a solid way to play this one on Sunday Night Football. Final game of the week is the Packers and the Saints. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Packers favored by 13.5, and the total in this game is 42.5. I'm showing value here on the over. I've got this at 47.7, in large part because I think the Saints defense, despite the fact they played well against the Commanders, does still kind of stink. And the Packers offense is playing really good football as of right now. If you look at their early down schedule adjusted passing efficiency, they rank second in the league behind just the Ravens so far. And that includes Jordan Love pre-Toyotathon. There's these weird splits with Jordan Love in December when Toyotathon's going on, stuff like that. This is for the full season, including the time Malik Willis is out there, frankly. They've had one of the best passing offenses in football. They can move the ball pretty effectively on the ground. This total is just at 42.5. I kind of like that over quite a bit at minus 105. So pretty happy to take the Packers and the Saints over 42.5, minus 105. Got the spread at 11.7. So means I'm higher on the Saints offense than the market is. That doesn't feel amazing given how Jay Kaner and Spencer Rattler play, but there is an outside chance that Derek Carr is able to go. Outside chance Chris Olave can go, not expecting that and projecting them to be out. But do think that does help us potentially take the over here, 42.5 at minus 105. Weather in Green Bay, 12 mile per hour winds, but it doesn't look like it'll be anything super, super crazy for that one. So do like the over 42.5 at minus 105. So to recap, bets I like for week number 16, like the Broncos money line on Thursday night at plus 132, like the Bengals -7 against the Browns. I'm on the Commanders money line plus 142 as they take on the Eagles. Like the Patriots and Bills over 46.5. Got the Raiders money line even money, the Bucks minus 3.5 minus 118, and the Packers and the Saints over 42.5 at minus 105. So quite a bit of action for me for this week across week 16 in the NFL. Full breakdown of week 16 coming up on Thursday. Megan Payne will join me 4 p.m. Eastern on the YouTube page, breaking down her thoughts on the biggest games across this week. Of course, we'll talk Eagles, Commanders, and much more in that one. Tune in 4 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. Before then, though, we have our college football playoff round 1 breakdown. Riley Thomas with me tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern on the YouTube page. Subscribe there, enable notifications, and leave us a thumbs up. We appreciate all of you as always. And don't forget to subscribe to the Covering the Spread podcast feed wherever you get your podcasts. If you got any questions for me, I'm on both X and Blue Sky at JimSannes. You can find FanDuel Research on X at FanDuel Research. Big thank you to our YouTube producer, Justin Lane, for his work on the video side of things. Thank you, Justin, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Hopefully week 16 can go as well as week 15 went for us. Should be a blast. Looking forward to breaking it all down more with you in depth later on this week. This has been Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast.